Hello fellow bibliophiles and welcome back to Blatantly Bookish. I'm Marissa and today I am teaching myself to DNF. There are many books that I did not finish, but in my mind it's not that I did not finish them, but that I've put them on hold, that I intend to return to them at some point. And there is very rarely, if ever, a book that I actually just put down halfway through without the intention of picking up again. This book is one of those books, and I am teaching myself to do that more often. The impetus for this came when I went to the city, to the Strand, for my birthday this past weekend. I read this book on the train, and I wasn't enjoying it, and then I went to the Strand, and I was literally surrounded by hundreds of books that I am dying to read. And that experience just opened my eyes and reminded me that what am I doing with my life? There are so many books out there that you want to devour. And you're sitting here spending almost the entire month of April stuck on this one that isn't doing it for you. Why? Why is that? Move on, move forwards, and read what you want to read when you want to read it. So, talk to you a little about why I'm DNFing this book. I gave it a real fair chance. I am 143 pages in, and I don't want to read it anymore. Now, the cover is gorgeous. It is called Not Just Jane by Shelley De Wees. It is about rediscovering 7 amazing women writers who transformed British literature. And those 7 female authors who are featured in this book are Mary Elizabeth Braddon, Helen Maria Williams, Catherine Crowe, Charlotte Turner Smith, Sarah Coleridge, Mary Robinson, Dina Mullock-Craik. Now, the premise of this book is amazing. I am very interested in discovering female authors who wrote before Jane Austen. There's actually a really similar initiative going on right now on Claudia from Spinster's Libraries channel, and she is doing the novel project. She's reading novels written before 1818. They're not all by female authors, but they are sort of these forgotten novels that people either haven't read a lot of or haven't heard of, and I'm definitely going to link. She has 2 really great videos on that, so I will totally link that in the comments down below. So I just love thinking about the concept of what makes the literary canon. Why are some books from the 1800s remembered today, and why are some just not? These women all achieved popularity in their time period. The author argues most of them achieved more popularity than Jane Austen did, but Jane Austen is the one that we read now. And why is that? I didn't feel like she really gave such great answers to that question. I think her basic answer to that question is, well, these authors were a lot more scandalous than Jane Austen, and so society has sort of shunned them when the Victorian sense of morality came about. So yes, I had many issues with this book, and I probably should have stopped reading after the introduction. It sets up this notion of Jane Austen and the Brontes as romantic escapist writing with quote-unquote misty gardens and snug cottages. She describes fantasizing of marriage to a wealthy man who had no other care in the world except me, and one who offered a stress-free love nest and an exquisite, comfortable life. She refers to Austen's world as sugary perfection. She refers to Charlotte Bronte's work as wildness in place of calm, unbridled passion in place of sweet, decorous admiration from afar. Did she read the same books I read? She claims to love Jane Austen and Charlotte Bronte's works, and I believe that she does, but she loves them in just such a different way than I do. Because Austen's writing is full of societal constraints behind that false veil of security, and the unbridled passion that Charlotte writes about is deeply disturbing and a fascinating examination of human character. De Wees also refers to Dickens as a high-minded littérateur, which is not quite how I think of Dickens. Think of a famous movie star or a music artist nowadays. That was basically what Dickens was to the Victorian time period. He was vastly popular and consumed by the masses, and there was nothing highbrow about him. He was and is great entertainment, but he wasn't thought of as someone for literary critics to take seriously until way past his time. So, based on all of this, I don't know how reliable De Wees' writing and opinions are to me. The way she discusses and conflates Austen and the Brontes makes me incredibly skeptical about her views on these other women and their writing. And she acts like the existence of female authors prior to Austen's time period is a huge revelation. She does mention other female authors briefly in passing, like Aphra Behn and Maria Edgeworth, so there are clearly many more great obscure female authors before Austen. But why did she decide on these 7 alone? I don't think she actually answered that so well in the book, and even more frustrating was the subject matter as a whole. I was hoping to hear about the women's writing, because that is what we're supposed to be celebrating and rediscovering, but I found the passages of writing from these authors that she included in here were incredibly dull and lackluster and did not make me actually want to read their work. And instead, I got a lot of information about potentially exaggerated hardships that these women endured and their often scandalous lives. After a bit of research, I actually came across another book that I really, really want to read in the future, and that's Mothers of the Novel by Dale Spender. That covers 100 female novelists who wrote before Austen. It was likened to a feminist version of Ian Watt's The Rise of the Novel, but unfortunately my library doesn't have it, I don't think, so I'll have to order it at some point. This book, though, was just a huge disappointment to me because I've been slowly forcing myself through it and I haven't actually completed any books in the month of April yet. I read a graphic novel one night, which I really enjoyed, Paper Girls. I'll talk about that more in my monthly wrap-up, but I have a lot of catching up to do the second half of April. So yes, I'm going to put this book down, but I will probably continue making videos if you guys are interested in the whole idea of authors before Jane Austen's time, specifically female authors before Jane Austen's time, and I will continue to partake in the 1818 novel challenge that Claudia is hosting. I'm currently buddy reading Marriage by Susan Edmonston Ferrier, and I'm going to continue looking up this really interesting subject of what makes the canon and why. So I'm interested to hear if you've read this book, what you thought of it, and if there are any other books you would recommend on this topic or articles you'd recommend on this topic. I've been researching a little bit and I've been finding some pretty interesting stuff that I'm sure I'll make a future video on. So yes, that is all I have for you today. How do you guys know when you want to DNF a book? Because this is the only book that I've actually, in recent history, have forced myself to DNF. What makes you DNF a book? Yeah, I really want to know your experience with DNFing books. So yes, I will look forward to seeing you in another video soon. Until next time, bye!